I'm Hayden Hillier-Smith and I am a professional web video editor. I've been the editor for popular creator Logan Paul, and we've spent all that time studying and theorizing what it is to create a perfect web video.
I didn't want to do traditional media.
Why did Logan not look at analytics and still kill it every single day?
Blake and I have continued to talk about this on the podcast, why you should have an editor, the investment that you have to make to put into an editor. And I think so many creators continue to tell me on a daily basis that they're the only ones that can edit their videos. And so Blake and I wanted to bring on a guest, Hayden Hillier-Smith. If you haven't seen his channel, you are missing out. Blake, I'm so glad we finally have an editor coming on the show because this has been so highly requested. And I think Hayden is at the top of his game right now.
Yeah, Hayden is, for people that don't know, Hayden is the editor for Logan Paul and has been with Logan for many, many years now. And I think there's very few people that understand what goes into editing and just the YouTube algorithm and what makes a good video on YouTube better than Hayden. I think this conversation is one of the most interesting conversations we've had around just the inside baseball of what goes into a YouTube video.
Totally agree. And it's something a lot of creators have been asking for is like, can you bring on an editor? Can you talk about editing? So I think this is the next episode that you and I have been trying to get done for a while. And so I hope everyone enjoys.
How did you even end up in this world? How did you end up, even meeting Logan? Like, what does that story look like?
Yeah, in 2017, Logan was like another level of YouTube that we had never seen before. It was like daily vlogs, 250 million views a month. It was crazy.
I've been on YouTube for pretty much like the second year it existed. And so I'd always been a YouTuber, but always been so behind the scenes. But I always wanted to be a creator in a sense of like being the front man, being the personality, being the one in front of the camera. But I was still developing my personality. I wasn't quite confident myself. So I started to go behind the camera and actually ended up having a lot more fun there. And then there came a time when I was like, you know what? I want to be the biggest YouTuber ever. And then Logan also went, I want to be the biggest YouTuber ever. And then we somehow got connected and both me and us went, should we be the biggest YouTubers ever? And then we ended up working together because of that. Because I think just literally the first conversation me and Logan ever had was like, it's like as if the stars had aligned, is what he said. My sense of humor was very similar to his sense of humor. But then the true magic of it was we both come from very different perspectives in life. You know, he's a Ohio boy, he does sports, whereas with me, if I kick a football, I'll end up in the hospital because I've fallen on my back. We come from very different perspectives, but because of that, I filled in a lot of what was missing Logan, and Logan filled in what was missing in me, and it became this perfect mix of being able to create that killer content that we were both so passionate about. I think that daily vlogging era was just, I think, just the most fun experience I've had, and most exhausting as well, but I think the most fun experience where it's like, I don't have to go to work, I get to go to work, and I woke up at 8 AM every day and say, every year going, what fun adventure am I going to have today?
How did you deal with the stress of having to edit every single day for, I don't even know how, 400 plus days? It was like on autopilot. You guys were uploading every single day. So I'm guessing how it worked was he would send you footage at the end of his film day. You would have to funnel through it and then edit a video if you were still in London, like what, throughout the night? Yeah. And then send it to him in the morning?
Yeah, he would film his day in Los Angeles and he'd finish it around 8, 9 PM and start uploading it onto Google Drive. And then my computer would start automatically downloading it. And what that then meant is at 8 AM I wake up and there's just footage on my computer just ready to go. And he's gone to bed. So he then wakes up 8, 9 AM on Los Angeles time. And I go, here's your video, off you go. And so there was just a constant flow. That like his content never stopped because there was never a time where we all had to stop. The videos started being like, I could edit them in 3-4 hours. And then they started going to 6 hours and 7 hours because we started going more and more. And then they had to become 8 to 10 hours. But because it gradually built up that momentum, we got into such a great flow with it that it's just, we blinked and the video was done. He would go on his day, I blink, video's done, off we go. We move on, we move on, and we move on. And I think that's also where it got dangerous as well. But it's just, we scaled up in such a I think, easy way that suddenly it just became on autopilot. It's like, that was the world that we knew.
How much direction was Logan giving you at that time? Was it just like, here it is, I trust you, like you do what you want with all this raw footage? And like, also, how often were you looking at analytics and like, were you thinking about thumbnails and, performance of these videos at the time? Or was it much more like, hey, I'm trusting Hayden, go do your thing and like, let's just see what happens?
Well, we were still developing our skills, and this is in 2017 when looking at analytics wasn't as encouraged at that time. It got to a point where I think Logan absolutely trusted me. He gave me footage and just said, go. But honestly, throughout the whole process, we didn't look at analytics a single time. All we did was make content, and all we did is ask the question, how can we make this as fun as possible, and how can we make this as entertaining as possible? And we used experience and our own mistakes as our own analytics, I would say, rather than letting the data tell us where we went wrong. We personally reflected on when we went wrong and chose to improve on it that way.
The first time Jimmy did Logan's podcast, I can't remember if it was 2019, 2018, don't remember. Jimmy and I sat down with Logan after the podcast, and Jimmy was like, show me your analytics. And Logan goes, what do you mean? And he was like, wait, you don't look at your YouTube analytics? And he's like, bro, I haven't looked at my YouTube analytics ever. Was it just something you guys just didn't even care, didn't pay attention? It was just like all about streamline process, edit videos, post videos, do it again the next day?
I thought about this a lot, and it's like, why did Logan not look at analytics and still kill it every single day? And I think it literally comes down to him and himself as such an attractive personality that it trumps the need to support yourself with all of the other strategies. He and himself trumps the need for a thumbnail. He himself trumps the need to have a great title. He himself trumps the need to have these right retention strategies. He himself embodies all of that in just his charisma. And I think that's why people keep coming back to him, and people are like very much dedicated towards him, which is probably going to piss off a lot of people me saying that. But so I think that's literally my theory as to why Logan has been successful in that way.
And as the channel has evolved, or as the videos have evolved, has that been because of like you actually looking at analytics and paying attention to maybe what other videos or other channels have done well, or was that again much more of like just gut that it's like this is just evolution of the channel?
Well, looking at analytics to a degree is an internal reflection. You're looking at yourself and where you went wrong, and you're giving yourself the data to tell yourself where you went wrong, or where you made your mistakes. I would say with Logan and me, we learned that the best way to improve is to look at yourself emotionally and internally. And so we go, hey, we emotionally felt this wasn't as entertaining here. Where did we go wrong? How could we have told this better? And I think it's because we chose to look physically internally rather than numerically internally. It's probably meant the big difference as to why Logan's content is still quite different to a lot of creators today. We treat analytical data as fact, when actually it's subjective. You might see a 10% dip and go, wait, what went wrong here? Oh, it's because my exposition was too slow. Or actually, maybe 10% dropped off because maybe your music was too loud, or your microphone quality dipped in quality so people clicked off. I would say it's often very subjective in how you interpret that data, and I think we become too obsessed with how we choose to interpret that data and probably make mistakes on how we choose to interpret that data. It takes us down directions that I don't think could be the right lessons for you to have or need at that time. You could look at retention data and see where you went wrong here, or you could probably even use that time to study the hero's journey, or you could use that time to study the story circle, or you can use that time to maybe even understand yourself internally and emotionally and figure out how can I get how I feel across onto camera as well. And I think too much time is spent into analytics in a way that I would say it's a third of the process rather than the overall process. Analytics tells us to make it shorter. I think we just need to simply tell it better.
And I'm curious, just like from a whole other angle, you know, so many of the creators that Reed and I talk to, they don't have editors. They're editing their own videos. They're still in this phase of like, I need to edit my own videos. I'm the one who knows my audience best. What is your advice to those creators? So
I think the hardest part when hiring an editor is, and we even talked about it as well, trust. And so you got to find an editor that you can trust. Now, the biggest mistake that I see a lot of creators do is assuming that you can trust them straight away. It's a time investment. You got to invest in time for you as a creator to communicate to the editor what it is that you want. Because you've had the experience, you've figured out how you want your content to work. I think it's a bit of a mistake to assume that an editor is going to be able to replicate that straight away. And so it's a time investment to get an editor up to your speed. But then in time, you can then start to trust them. I think that's definitely the hardest part. And I think, but then bottom line, what this also means is editing is such a huge time-consuming responsibility. And if you want to scale up as a creator, you invest your $1,000 worth of time into this editor, but then that editor is then going to compound into $100,000 worth of time. But then sometimes you got to make sure you got to do that investment yourself.
Where I've seen it be incredibly successful is when a creator invests months, if not years, into helping that person perfect the craft of like, here's the vision for my channel. Here's how I would edit this video. Like you basically have to sit next to them for probably months editing those videos together. And I just don't think a lot of creators are willing to put that time in. And so, and that time probably scares them because they're like, I might as well just edit my own videos if I'm like sitting next to this person teaching them.
Like I said, it's your responsibility as a creator to be able to teach your mindset, your attitude, your style. But I think the hard part is also trying to verbalize your nuances. That's actually the hard part. And I think that's why people, a lot of creators reject the idea, because actually they can't explain their nuances yet. But I truly do believe every creator should get an editor. In fact, even so much, I run a channel talking about editing, and I've literally hired an editor today to edit my videos, because it's like I need to put more time towards something else. And I would say, but the part of the process is I'm going to have to teach her, or not teach is probably the wrong word. I think I'm going to have to work with her to explain to her my nuances, my understanding of editing, my ability of understanding feeling. There comes a point where the editing becomes the weakest point in your entire YouTube business if you as a creator are wasting a majority of your time editing it yourself.
Totally agree. So you did a video on Jimmy. You did a breakdown of Jimmy's Island video on your channel. I don't even know how many times I've sent that to a creator as just like a comp because so many people ask me, how does Jimmy edit, or how does his team think about editing his videos? And your breakdown of that video was very spot on in a lot of points of how his mind thinks about certain editing strategies and why he's doing certain things within a video. I thought the most interesting part was how you actually pointed out that...
And just like that, 25 seconds into the video, someone's already been eliminated.
Hey, we're 30 seconds into this video and 2 people are already eliminated. It's like there's no dead space. It starts so quick and people are getting eliminated already. There's no fluff. What made you want to break down that video specifically? And then how many times did you actually watch that video to create that breakdown throughout all those editing processes?
That truly was, and I think the best way for any editor to learn is to reverse engineer.
He's already created another spike of energy, keeping up the pace, maintaining interest, maintaining engagement. I watched that video and I watched 5 seconds. I went, okay, what happened in this 5 seconds? This happened. Wait, this happened, and also this happened. Wait, wow, that many things happened in 5 seconds? Let's talk about that. And that was a live reaction as well. That was literally me like live reacting and breaking down. But I think also a lot of it came down with my own experiences as well. It just literally thinking, if you got an emotional response, you simply ask why. And those then came down to my own interpretations, my own understanding of psychology and editing and storytelling as well. The best way of putting it, if you've watched a whole YouTube video, you watch right to the end, you ask yourself, wait, how did they keep my attention that whole time? Watch it again and reverse engineer what they did to keep your attention.
What advice do you have to people who want to break into this world and learn how to edit? Like, I imagine that most of them don't need to go to film school or that side of this. So, like, how do they get started? Do you think it is that reverse engineer side of this and try and think about it through the analytical lens? Or what maybe practical steps should they be taking?
I would say it sounds like a broken record because the true advice is just start. Just do anything and everything. If you look at a Logan Paul or Mr. Beast video and you try to make a Logan Paul Mr. Beast video and it's terrible, well, great, you're already doing more laps than the person on the couch. And now you can then reflect on that video. What went wrong here? Okay, let me try again. Oh, what went wrong here? Let me try again. What went wrong here? Let me try again. What went wrong here? Let me try again. And suddenly you got 2 million subscribers. But you keep on trying and trying and trying and trying, and then suddenly you're going to surpass that expectation that you're wanting to get. And then you're going to create a new skill gap, and now you want to get that quality. And I would also say that yes, reverse engineer. Why was Logan Paul funny? Why was Mr. Beast so entertaining? In time, without warning, you're gonna blink and be successful, and you won't even know how you did it. But now you know you got to keep going.
Has any of your editing strategies changed as this like Zoomer audience has become so fixated on 10-second short form videos with TikToks and YouTube Shorts. Like, has that like affected how you think about the strategy and how you edit videos? Because everyone's mind thinks like, I just want a 10-15 second video. Have you thought at all about that?
Yeah, I've been down that rabbit hole a lot in personally this year. If Logan Paul's 2017 vlogs were posted today, they'll be the worst videos on YouTube. They don't work in what is a normalized YouTube content today. But this is a brand new trend that I don't think any of us particularly saw coming. But I would also definitely say Mr. Beast probably was the one who saw it coming, and he was the one who probably pioneered this concept of aggressive content, is what I call it, or retention content.
Aggressive content.
Yeah.
Tell me.
With Logan's content, I used to be conscious of every minute. What did every minute do? What did every minute... Did it scale up? Did it progress? Did it change? It's now much more thinking far more every 10 seconds. What did this 10 seconds do? Did this 10 seconds change? Did this 10 seconds escalate? Did this 10 seconds transform? Am I constantly taking them away, constantly bringing them on this journey? Every 5 seconds, I would say, you have to have a reason to say to your audience, hey, I would like if you keep on watching my video. Please don't look anywhere else. Keep watching me. It's kind of, to a degree, begging. And I have mixed feelings about that, because by begging attention can diminish some quality moments that you might need to invest more time in, because, and I think there is some diminishing returns in constantly begging that's giving us less opportunity to get more interesting emotional content. And I think that's a bigger sacrifice I am witnessing with aggressive attention begging content, where we are losing a huge human element. Were it to a degree for me, and I'm welcome for people to disagree, it feels like a computer made them. It feels like a bit algorithmic, the way some content has to be presented today. But it doesn't mean that I'm not contributing towards it myself. If you can't beat them, join them, is what I'm trying to say.
It's super interesting of like when you do fully lean into the analytics side of this world, where you acknowledge like, hey, average view duration, click-through rate, whatever. It's interesting of like what the end result of that content is and how everything shapes or converges into a certain direction. Once a certain style works and does really well, it's just like everything immediately becomes copies of that. And I imagine that's hard to balance from your perspective, because there is a constant push-pull of your own want or need to do storytelling, but also like, okay, we now need to think about what the algorithm itself wants, and like how to push that forward.
I think for me, the mistake with aggressive content is what you're telling the audiences is what we've conditioned the audiences with this mindset of, I want to find the first reason to click off. By making this aggressive content, we've normalized that idea. Do you do that with Netflix? No, you sit on Netflix and you watch Breaking Bad, you watch 8 hours of Squid Game. And Netflix has conditioned us to sit down and watch an 8-hour movie. Whereas YouTube is now conditioning us to tell us, I don't want you to click off. Please don't click off. I think because of that, we have developed a viewer habit, is probably my issue with it. That can be dangerous, because you might spend a lot of money or a lot of time making a really, really good video. But if you didn't make that banging intro, no one's going to watch. You didn't make that banging thumbnail, no one's going to watch. Where there was a time where I would go on YouTube and I'll watch short films or hour-long films or these incredible cinematic experiences, and they can't exist on YouTube anymore. And I think that's probably why my issue, that type of content has been lost because of how we've conditioned our viewers to watch our content.
You're totally spot on. What creators do you think, or what creator do you think is the best, has the best editing?
Johnny Harris.
Okay.
Johnny Harris. I watched the Cypress video. Best video.
So good.
Yeah. Here's the best way of putting it. I started watching like 5-10 seconds of it, and I went, no, I cannot watch this on my phone. And I immediately casted it to my TV. And I think that's the difference. If it feels like if you can watch your video on the phone, then maybe that might not be good enough. If you can tell me, the viewer, that no, this has to be watching the TV, then I think you've done the good job. And so for me, and then second, Emma Chamberlain. the most refreshing content in a long time. When she has gone, you know what? Screw analytics, screw retention, screw click-through rate, screw making these eye-popping, highly saturated thumbnails. Let me show you me. And I think that made me realize authenticity, which was a huge currency at one point, has been diminished because of aggressive content, because we no longer have time to be authentic anymore. Whereas Emma has now gone, you know what? No, we can still be authentic on YouTube.
Yeah, I think it's what you're saying is super interesting because in a perfect world, YouTube, enables like all of these different strategies to succeed and thrive, and at some level they are, right? Like Johnny Harris's videos are doing incredibly well, Emma's videos are doing super well, and and then you have the other content that's doing really well as well, and I think it all, what's like I think super important for most creators is they need to just have a very real conversation with themselves and like internally of like, what are your aspirations as a creator, and do you want the biggest audience? Do you want your pure authentic self or your personality to be really shining through? And that's, I think, the main thing of and hopefully YouTube continues to just allow all these other avenues to just exist.
Only because we understand the algorithm and understand the concept of retention, and retention being the priority. That's the content that is prioritizing for everyone. And so that is why you need to make that type of content. But so actually, that's actually YouTube's problem, that it's actually diluted the content that's presented to us in a very unfortunate way, to a degree that I would say it's like the algorithm now only serves the 1% of creators who do the aggressive retention content, and the 99% who don't do it as much, and now losing out because the algorithm is no longer serving them. And so I think that's probably the issue. This is a YouTube algorithmic flaw because of this.
For sure.
That now creators such as Eric and Mr. Beast have maximized brilliantly. And but it's now because of that, the algorithm's only serving them to a degree.
Well, and I think too, like, if you want to be the biggest YouTuber or one of the biggest YouTubers on the platform, you have to, at this point, make a certain type of content, or else you're just not going to get to that point. Like, there's not a lot of creators gaining millions of new subs a month, but if you look at the ones that are out, like putting all kids channels aside and that kind of stuff, like it's music channels and the ones doing, like you said, aggressive, in-your-face content, big ideas, spectacles. So there's not a lot of room to like create other things right now if you want to be at the top.
But at the time, it was daily vlogging. Casey Neistat, Logan Paul, everyone and their mother was daily vlogging because the algorithm served those very well. It's you post every single day, you're going to get those watch time hours up, and it'll start pushing all of the videos. It's right now we figured out how to make the algorithm work in our favor, and in time, someone else is going to go, hey, I wonder if I can make the algorithm work in this favor, and then everyone's going to go, oh my god, that's genius, and then we jump on that trend. This is a content cycle. And it has the potential to change, as it was like no huge YouTuber of daily vlogs anymore, because the content trends don't demand that anymore, and so that is the current demand. And as long as you as a creator can maintain consistency in adapting to change, or even being the leader of change.
Totally agree. Well, we appreciate you coming on. I hope this was helpful to a lot of the creators that watched.
Yeah, and definitely go check out Hayden's channel. I mean, it's incredible, and it's a really amazing inside look at how this world works, and I highly recommend checking it out.
There's so many resources for aspiring creators right now that just didn't exist, and your channel is at the top. And I think if someone's not subscribed to it, I don't know what they're doing, but they need to start watching your video breakdowns and everything else you do so well. So thanks for doing that for the community.
Yeah, this is such a great conversation. I'm really happy that expressing my feelings and my thoughts on YouTube as an industry, loving what it is, and having my thoughts about it. So yeah, thank you so much for this conversation.